Garden Doctor. The Garden Doctor.
Hello and welcome everybody to the Garden Doctor Show. We are live. Mrs. Garden Doctor at my side where she is
Usually.
doing an awesome job of keeping me straight and narrow and
Yeah, good luck with that.
all this good stuff.
Live and alive.
This is not a gardening show.
Not tonight.
This show is about hunting regulations. We're not going to get into fishing. As a matter of fact, we're probably not going to get
What? No
halfway,
fishing?
No.
Okay.
Halfway through this book because there's so much information in here. We are not DNR representatives. So don't take what everything I say is my opinion. Everything she says is her opinion.
And our understanding and translation to the best of our abilities. But there is a helpline, a deer hotline, if you have any questions about regulations.
About any regulations
about
that
hunting deer that you can call to verify.
hunting, any of the wildlife regulations, hunting regulations. There's a number we're going to give you. We're going to repeat it 2 or 3 times down through here. But the most important thing you can do is go get a copy of this magazine.
Yes. And they also have the fishing.
They're everywhere. They literally are. They're at most every place that you shop that has sporting goods or that has bait. They're at just about every place that move it over a little bit so they can see the full.
Sorry.
Oh, you're going the wrong way. They're just.
I got these at Gilman's. If you
They've
go
got
right
them at
inside
Gilman's.
the door.
I think the Fishing Shack probably has them.
Walmart
Frames
has them.
I'm
Yep.
sure. Wolf Gun Shop. They're everywhere. Anywhere that you would find sporting goods, you are going to find this magazine, and it's very well done. The information is not always as clear as I believe it should be. I really honestly believe that a 12-year-old should be able to pick up the rule book, read it, and understand it. And that's not always the case.
And even if you think, well, I know what the rules are and everything, they change things from year to year about size, about bag limits on fish, dates and times and different things. So you want to make sure and get a new one every single year. Go through it, verify what you know, and learn some new things you didn't know.
And if you will, through this book here, and I'm going to flip a few pages here, there are so many markings in my book that are questions that I want to ask DNR, that are areas that I'm not really sure about, or maybe a sentence that I think should be worded differently.
Right.
There's nothing wrong with that. If you read through this book and you go, well, this can't be right, then do something about it. Write it down, underline it, go to one of the meetings. They have meetings all over the state where you are given the opportunity to voice your opinion, or you can just write into the DNR. And you know what? They really do appreciate it, and they will look at it. Because
and they're
if
very
you have
responsive.
a question,
They really are, yes.
If you have a question, then other people have a question as well. If one person calls in, they think the assumption is that person represents 100. So for every call they get, for every concern they get, you're representing 100 people.
Yeah, there's 99 more people who didn't understand the same thing but didn't call. So now we are live tonight, so you can call in. The number is on the screen. Now, I suppose if you have a gardening question you've been holding on to since the last time we saw you,
I guess you could ask it, and we might answer it, or we might just hit a button and
or if
hang
you
up
have
on
any questions or comments about the show we're doing tonight, call.
We're actually going to show some photographs here later on of some successful hunts, and we're very happy to do that.
And we love to see kids that have been successful in hunts. That's really fun.
Now, when you open this magazine, the very first thing that you see is an advertisement for Savage. Now, these advertisements are very important because they pay for this book to be compiled and for the color and for the distribution. And they send out millions of these books. There's never seems to be an end. Then, of course, there's the listing of what all is contained within. And then you are introduced to the director of the Department of Natural Resources,
Yep, Cameron Clark. He's the director right now of our DNR.
And
We have Mark Reeder, and he is the former director. He retired in July after 39 years of service. That's amazing.
actually, I don't think he was the director before, but he could have been. He could have been. See, we may have already made a mistake, but you need to know these people. You need to know where the districts are and everything. So we're going to go immediately to the back of the book. And at the back of this magazine, it tells you, it gives you listings of what here?
Well, you've got charts and maps, and it will show you. Let's see if I can get there better. Okay, these charts here are broken down the state into different sections. These are DNR law enforcement districts, so you know who's in charge of handling the laws where you live. And then it's broken down into other things. Over here, you've got fish and wildlife areas, which are part of the Healthy Rivers Initiative sites.
Well, they have fish and wildlife areas and the Healthy River Initiative sites.
And they're
both.
all numbered and giving you the name and address of every single one. And this map here gives you state reservoirs and state forests, and they're numbered on the map, and you have a name and address for every single one.
And then you can further research those, and it's very important because you're going to find throughout this guide, it's going to tell you that okay, these are the rules. These are the general rules. But before you go to a specific piece of property, you need to call the managers of that property. So you need to know these people's names. And here we have, what's this map of? Oh, these are the wildlife biologists.
Yes, the wildlife biologists. Now, this really got me. I guess I didn't see it before going through it. Volunteer archers needed.
Well, that's
What was
for
that about?
that was for surveys, and you kind of missed out on that.
Okay, it's too late for that.
If
but
you
what is
wanted to
it?
sign up for that, it's a cool thing. I don't know if any of you are familiar with this program that was called Stump Setters. It was a program started way back in the 80s, maybe even in the 70s, where people would go out and while they were hunting, they accumulated information on everything, on squirrels and frogs and snakes and pollywogs, whatever it was. Everything that was in the woods, they accumulated data.
So they're census takers for the woods.
That's what you are, yep.
Okay.
And that's what they were looking for in these archers, because the archers are out early.
Earlier
and
than,
yeah,
right.
and so they specifically wanted 1,000 or more, and they used that information for a lot of their decisions. A lot of the decisions that DNR makes in their management programs and practices are based on deer collisions with vehicles, crop damage, and the input from the harvest information.
Observations and different material and evidence and things that have been turned in or called in.
When we come off the Brookville Lake hunting, well, first off, you have to take a tag with you when you go on Brookville Lake. When you come off Brookville Lake, after your duck hunting, goose hunting, bird hunting, whatever it is, you're supposed to mark down how many you saw,
Right.
how many you collected, a bunch of information for DNR and slip it in the box. Now, I didn't do that. For
a long
while. I
time,
didn't.
yeah.
I was putting it in my pocket. I keep forgetting. So then I had them written up. I mean, I filled it out, but I never put it in the box. So I took them all over to Brookville Lake. The guy that used to manage Brookville Lake was a friend of mine. And I took them over to him, and I passed them to him, and he just shook his head. He said, what is this, like 4 years?
You're doing it wrong.
That's not how you're supposed to do it. There's an advertisement here for Honey Creek Tackle. And I do want to acknowledge these people, and I do want to mention them just for a moment because they did pay for this. So
Yes, because they paid to have their advertisement put in there. You get this nice, glossy, informative magazine that is to last you the whole hunting season. So it's great.
now the first thing that you see, and it's great that it's the first thing because you used to have to dig for this and you used to have to ask all kinds of questions because it was not as clear and concise as it is now. But the first thing you see is Indiana hunting seasons for 2019 and 2020. And they list off red fox, coyote, raccoon, dog running, the fact that you can do that many, many times. or for many seasons, and it lists wild turkey. And I'm gonna get into a couple of these here. One that I'm going to mention is the deer reduction zone season. It starts September the 15th. And it goes all the way through until January the 31st.
Now explain what that zone, what that means.
Okay, these are zones that are overpopulated, critically almost, with deer, meaning that...
Are they all urban areas or they can be anywhere?
It's amazing where they are. It really is amazing, and you need to know where they are, because in these zones, you're allowed 10 deer. You can take, if you have filled your tags in a bundle situation, which we'll talk about later, or if you've taken your buck as your one buck that you're allowed in the state of Indiana. And of course, if you go to some of the proving grounds and so forth like that, the military grounds, you're allowed to take another buck. But if you want to collect another buck, you can go to these reduction zones. You have to take one doe before you qualify for a buck, but then you can take a buck. Now, what you have to do though is you have to look up these zones, drive up there, drive around, fill out an application. There's a form in here that you fill out for permission to hunt, and if it's private property and they're having a surplus deer problem, they're going to be much more receptive to somebody knocking on their door and asking permission.
And yes,
to
they
hunt.
actually give you the form in here for you to fill out and bring to the private property owner so that you look a little more professional, asking for permission to hunt, and it's in writing so both parties know, you know, they have a deal. It's not just a verbal agreement. You've made a deal. So I like that idea.
And if you love deer hunting like I do, and I just couldn't wait for it to begin, and I can't, you know, I was very sad when it ended. This extends your deer season.
It does.
It starts September the 15th.
Wow. Although
and
I think it's been, and you've said it's been kind of way too hot, really, to take
it has
a deer
been. Oh
this
yeah,
year. And that kind
there
of,
was
still,
some people that were out the 1st of October.
Yes.
And the temperature was way high. Now, there's a thing that I developed. My pen name when I was writing for outdoor magazines was the Midnight Tracker. And they gave me that name because I would track deer. DNR at one time had to track all the deer that were hit by cars. So they weren't found in farmers' fields and tearing up their equipment when they would go in to harvest, especially a buck. They really didn't care about the does, but if the person reported that it was a buck. So I would track until midnight. I had to get up and go to work the next day. So, and normally I would collect the deer either that day or the following one. We would find the deer. But I developed a lot of different ways of tracking deer. And one of the ways that I found to track deer was by trailing the blowflies.
Oh my.
Yeah, well, the blowflies will find the blood sometimes before you do, but they're an amazing creature, and they will swarm, and they will literally, just like bees,
Point right to it.
Take you right to the deer. Yeah.
Now, do you think with, I guess hunting is more based on the rut and the mating and that kind of thing, or is it based on temperature? And do you think that in the future, as climates like this stay this hot into the first week of October, that they might possibly change the dates?
Well, I would hope so, because another thing that was too early, in my opinion, was the early goose season. They're trying to reduce the population of the geese. And in that, to that end, they have opened an early goose season where you're allowed 5 geese per person per day, as opposed to the normal 3, I think it is. Or even, 3. So, but it's so early, it was so hot that almost nobody the people that I know of that were goose hunters didn't participate. And if you are going to hunt when it's warm, when it's very warm out, and you're going to be respectful of the game, then you need to get out there early. You need to not shoot after 9 o'clock, even 8 o'clock. Take an early shot. And make sure it's a good shot, get that deer out of the woods, and make sure you've already made arrangements for a cooler. You've got to get it fast and get it out of the woods and get it to a cooler. And sometimes, even in the dragging process, out of the woods. We have had blowflies track us. And you just,
Otherwise,
it's a
you're
horrible thing.
wasting the game that you just.
Oh, yeah.
Now, I noticed in one of the pictures that we're going to show later, there were 2 bags of ice in the stomach cavity where it had been gutted.
Well,
and
they're
that's
trying
probably
to
a
cool down-
temporary issue.
Yeah, they're
right.
trying to cool down the cavity of
Keep it cool till they can get it.
That's helpful, and putting pepper on the deer is helpful, but it does not solve the problem. Okay, so all of these dates, you can go to but I wanted to point that out to you. And I also wanted to point out that frog season, bull and green only, is June 15th through April 30th.
Go frog
There's a
gigging.
lot of people out there interested.
He loves his frog legs.
I
Oh my
love
gosh.
my frog legs. I sure do.
Yes, you do.
But there's-
Also, this line, this book, I don't know if you said that, is available online. If you go to the Indiana Department of Natural Resources website, you can download this exact same book and look at it online, scroll down through the screens. I like to have the hard copy you can keep in the car when it comes to fishing and the bag limits and that kind of thing, but it is available online.
They have a calendar that you can get. You can go to calendar.dnr.indiana.gov, and there's a calendar that gives you all the fishing, hunting, and trapping dates.
I think you can even get text alerts from that in
It's
advance
possible.
of dates.
Could be.
Yeah.
They've got seed plotters, plot seeders, back
seed
forward,
plotter.
or either way you want to go. Advertised here, boat sport and travel show. If you aren't going to that, there's something wrong with you.
We sell
There's
land.
the deer, turkey, and waterfowl. Waterfowl
Expo.
Expo
Yeah.
is right in there with that, and then you got the land sellers. Now those are again advertisers that are in here. Now there is a special waterfowl dates. This is incredible.
Okay.
For veterans.
I like
Read that for me, please.
The waterfowl dates for veterans. New in 2019 are special dates for veterans to hunt waterfowl. In order to hunt ducks and geese in Indiana, all individuals must have an Indiana hunting license, an Indiana waterfowl stamp privilege, and a free harvest information program, which is a HIP validation number. All persons 16 age or older must also have a federal duck stamp. Federal duck stamps are available at most post offices and online. State waterfowl stamp privileges are available from hunting and fishing license vendors and online at inhuntfish.com. The special waterfowl hunting dates for veterans are October 12th and 13th for the North Zone, October 19th and 20th for the Central Zone, and October 26th and 27th for the South Zone. So what they're saying is you still have to have all your licenses,
Right.
all your stamps, everything else, but those are days you get to hunt veterans and nobody else.
And it's a weekend earlier than everybody else.
Nice.
So it opens up an opportunity for
It's
veterans.
nice to-
I
yeah,
think that's
to give
a
a
very nice
privilege
thing.
there.
Not just because I'm a veteran, but because
It is a good thing.
Yeah, it's a good thing. Now, my question is, can I go to the North Zone and hunt on the 12th and 13th? Go to the Central Zone and hunt on the 19th and 20th, and then go down to the Southern Zone on 26 and 27.
It doesn't say you can't.
Yeah, but sometimes that'll get you in
Or is
trouble.
it the zone of where you reside?
I have no idea.
Well, when it comes to deer, you're allowed to take the ones where you live and then go to other zones and buy the stamps for those zones, right?
Probably.
So-
and I don't imagine I would run into anybody either.
Okay.
This is something that will affect Forrest, our son.
For guiding, people who want to guide other people to hunt and fish. New guiding license requirements. A new law requires hunting guide or outfitter services that are offered or provided for money or other consideration to possess a valid annual hunting guide license issued under let's see, it's the statute number. The annual license will expire on March 31st of the following year.
Yeah,
And
it's-
so it's a yearly.
it's a
okay.
new- yeah,
And
and-
you can buy it online at inhuntfish.com.
And you got to fill out all the information,
I
all
wonder
the
how
forms.
much that is.
$100.
$100 to be
$100
a fishing
year
or hunting guide.
to be a guide. So you better be selling some guide service.
Well, that kind of scares me too, though, because So anybody can go buy that and represent
You
themselves.
have to look at that statute. You have to fill out the application. You have to do a few things to.
I wonder how
and
many
they can pull your license at
people
any time.
represent themselves as a guide by paying $100
Well,
when maybe they don't really
there
know
you
that
go.
much.
There you go. I mean, there's cons out there
But
everywhere.
Forrest needs to do that because he's an awesome guide. So
Yeah, he is. Now, here is a Learn to Hunt program. We have a disconnect in the hunting world, and that is that some of the fathers and grandfathers didn't get to hunt. There were no deer in the state of Indiana. Now, in New Hampshire, where I'm from, everybody hunted. My great-grandfather, my grandfather, my father was a renowned hunter and guide all the way through New
and you
England.
brought your
and up
gun
into,
on the school bus.
I even was allowed to bring my gun
Yeah.
on a school bus, and that's the truth. We had a box in the back that had chains in it, and you had to put your gun in the box, and you had to give the ammo to the driver. And there was 3 of us that had our guns in the school bus. And when we got to our designated road that we were going to run up into the woods for the last hour and a half of daylight, we'd get our gun out, and that's how I got my first bear.
So they would even drop you off there instead of your designated school
They'd
stop?
drop you off there,
That's great.
and you'd run up into the woods, and then somebody else was supposed to pick me up and never showed up.
Yeah, that would
But
be Uncle Junior.
That would be Uncle Junior, yes.
can just imagine.
That's exactly right. But this Learn to Hunt program they're having workshops all over the state, and you can look this information up in this lovely little book. And there are seminars, mini workshops, field dressing of game, cooking, everything that you need to know if you want to learn to hunt will be in here. Now, there were about 15 or 20 young men that over the period of time would call me and say, hey, or their dads would, or their uncles or their mothers, and say, hey, can you take my son hunting? And I always enjoyed taking the guys out hunting, the boys that didn't have anybody in their family to mentor it. But I also had a group of women that were very, very interested in hunting, and their husbands didn't hunt. And so they got together, and they knew that I was writing for magazines and so forth, and that I did this, and they said, can you take us hunting? There are challenges when you take ladies hunting.
Well, yeah, first of all, peeing, I would say number
Well,
one.
yeah, that's
When
a
you have
challenge.
all these big
yeah.
poofy clothes on and there's nowhere private to be, and
And you look like a man.
you do definitely
So
look like a man.
sometimes men don't always act like there's a lady present.
Which is okay. Let them be who they
Well,
are.
no,
so,
because
well,
sometimes they have to pee too. So,
Oh,
you know,
you're right.
yeah.
Okay.
So,
We don't wanna see that.
Yes. Well, anyway, we've got off the subject
Yes,
here.
we
but
did.
Teaching those ladies to hunt, they were probably some of the best hunters I ever worked with because they had to prove themselves. They were focused. They were good.
They're eager to learn.
They were all archers, and they were incredibly accurate. There was 7 of them. Anyway, so this is a heck of a program that you should look into and check out. The Bass and Bucks has an ad in here. I never heard of Bass and
Wabash,
Bucks.
Indiana.
What?
Do they still
Wabash,
speak to get off topic? The Women of the Woods Charter.
Yes,
they still have that.
The Women of the Woods was a program that we started with Buckmasters. I started the Young Bucks with Buckmasters, and then Women of the Woods was a program that started there, and it spun off by itself, and I think it's still active. I think it's still very active. Okay, so then we switch over to general license regulations, and there are some things that I just have issues with in this license information here, like the electronic copy of your license. Now, I've bought license online, and they send me electronic copy, right?
Yes.
Okay, so how would I carry?
Your phone, on your cell phone.
Oh.
You could go into your email, and because they email it to you, you could show it to them, I guess.
One of my
I'm
grandkids would say,
guessing.
Grandpa.
I know.
Yeah.
I'm just guessing that's
Yeah.
how.
Yeah, well, I guess so.
They
because
send you a PDF of your license so you can print it. Okay, but if you can access your email on your phone, you have it right there.
Okay, got it. So if you put it in a certain way in your phone, then you don't have to worry about losing it.
Unless you lose your phone.
Yeah. Okay. right, so these are license prices. Now the prices down through here are about the same as they were last year, as far as I can see. One of the values out there is the deer bundle. The deer bundle is $1, 2 does. Okay, and that is in any season.
Do they have to be in that order?
No, they can be in any order.
Okay.
You're only allowed $1 though.
Okay.
And the 2 does. And I'm trying to find their deer license bundle for non-residents, $295.
That's if you don't live here. Okay.
I know. For a resident, it's
$65.
$65. Now, if you get a regular deer hunting license, where is
That's
that?
youth up top.
Where's the deer? Right here.
There.
Deer hunting is
5
$24.
day.
No, there's a regular.
Let me
If you just buy one license, how much is it?
Deer,
See, we
$24 if you're a resident.
okay. So how much are you saving by buying it as a bundle?
Well, if you were to, that would get you, if you had to get a license for each deer, that would be $72.
Okay,
So,
so
okay,
you save a
few
couple of bucks. All right.
and- okay.
I thought you saved more than that. I hadn't figured that up, so you know.
Now,
and then-
non-resident fees are always steeper. Now, when we go
Oh,
to
of
New
course.
Hampshire and he wants to hunt up there because he's technically a resident here, he has to pay a lot more to hunt in New Hampshire because he's non-resident.
Whoa,
So,
yeah,
and you only
$205.
have, it's not for the season. You only have so many days, and you have to tell them, okay, I want to start it tomorrow at 5 a.m., and that's when your 3 days, 7 days starts, and then that's it. And if you get rained out the whole week and you can't hunt, that's just how it is, you know.
Now there's a lot of confusion about resident, non-resident, people that live on farms, people that lease farms. I'm not going to get into that. If you need to know that, if that's a question that you have, if you are one of those people that lease a farm property, you need to read these rules and you need to get the rule book that is referred to in these rules.
And let me get this number
really covers.
out there.
Yep.
We said we would say it a few times. The deer hotline for questions regarding any of the deer hunting regulations is 812-334-3795. That office is open Monday through Friday, 8:30 to 4. So that's not a very good way to show the number, but that's at 812-334-3795. And they are the experts on this and should be able to answer every single question you might have.
Have an advertisement here for the National Muzzleloader Loading Rifle Association.
Wow.
And
I
I
didn't know there
really,
was such a
really like
thing.
them. Oh, yes. They're
Oh,
fabulous.
boy.
They're fabulous. And you know what? They won't call you every week and ask you for more
Like
donations.
NRA.
Well,
I love NRA and what they do.
I wasn't going to mention that,
Okay,
who
but
that was.
I get so tired of the phone calls and the mail, the amount of trees that they kill sending me this mail for every single
I
day.
continue to support them.
And
I
every
really
single,
do.
you know,
but
stop
come on, guys.
sending me all this waste paper, you know.
You're going to get my money. You're going to, my
They're
membership is there.
You
but
can really turn
just-
people off by being so aggressive. I don't like it to be so aggressive, that's all.
So then we have an apprentice license system, which is really a good system too. You have to learn how to hunt, learn what to hunt, learn how to process and everything. Then they have the apprentice, which means, let's say that you don't know if you want to hunt or not.
Right,
I'm not
okay.
sure. You don't have to buy a license.
Okay.
And you can do that, I think, a total of 3 times. So you can do it this year, maybe for ducks. Maybe later you want to do it for deer. Maybe next year you
Now,
want
if
to do
you're
it
an
for something else.
apprentice, do you just get to go along, or can
No.
you actually shoot?
No, you can
You can
participate.
actually hunt.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah.
But
And-
only like one time day shot 3 times, 3
And
different
again,
times. Again, the technical rules, which if you have questions, call that number.
you can purchase up to 3 apprentice
Okay.
licenses. What that means is you don't have to get your hunter safety certificate like
Okay.
Braden did.
You
and
don't
all
have
that
to
kind of stuff.
commit.
Yep.
until you're sure.
Right. And then there's legal hunting hours. You know what?
We're about halfway. You want to go through some of those pictures we've got?
Yeah.
That we brought in. We have a few pictures we wanted to go through, and we'll talk through them. And
I
I'll
wish
tell
we
you
had
who they
another
are.
show this year.
Here is my friend Lori and Mike Venable from Cross Point Biker Church. This is their grandson, Dalton Harlan, and I believe this is his first deer. See the ice bags there
Yeah,
while he's
yeah.
getting it cleaned up. So congratulations to you, Dalton. And let's see who we've got next. That is Forrest and I with a
Wow.
buck he got last year with his bow and arrow. That
Yes, he
was
did.
really nice.
That's our baby.
Yeah. That is actually Forrest with his
Oh, for crying
very
out loud.
first deer.
Yes, it
It's
is.
a little doe, and look how he's holding her and caressing her. He just loved that deer.
Yeah, he was
That
very
awesome.
proud of that deer.
Now that's a deer we raised and bottle fed from a baby. Her mother was killed, and just to see the smile on his face, and so he's seen both sides of deer conservation.
And we were licensed to
oh
do
yeah,
that.
to take care of that baby.
We raised
and
all
she
kinds
was
of wildlife.
put back
yeah.
into a herd of does.
We
But
returned
that
her to the
was
wild. Yep.
a life-changing experience. And this is a friend of ours, son. This is Braden Milano, and I believe this is his first doe.
This is his
this
first deer,
doe?
yeah,
It's
first
been
deer.
a year or two ago. His first deer. It was a doe. Very exciting day, and very happy to be a part of that. What do we got next? Okay, and this is Lori and Mike's another grandson, Mason Brown.
That's a big
With a squirrel. Now, I don't know if it's his first time, but he sure looks like
That's
he's
a
done it
big
before,
one.
doesn't he? So congratulations, Mason. That is a beautiful squirrel. Good job.
My
Okay.
goodness, that's a
the
big
last
one.
picture there, but
Yeah.
that was a lot of fun. So congratulations, kids. And I tried to get some more pictures, but I was kind of last minute on that.
If you can't disturb the nests or the burrows or the nest in the tree, just you can't do that. So that's one of the things that you should do. Using drones, that.
People are hunting with drones.
Oh, they've been hunting with
I
drones
thought
since
you weren't
drones
even
came
allowed.
out.
You weren't even allowed to use two-way radios to give yourself an advantage.
Well, yeah,
so
you're
how
not.
can you
but
use a
no,
drone?
they're using drones for other reasons. It
Observation?
says that you cannot use them.
Okay.
State law prohibits the
Okay.
use of unmanned aerial vehicles,
Okay.
which are drones. They always got to make it sound so complicated.
Okay.
But party hunting, we have always party hunted. They don't give a number on here, but it says party hunting is illegal. They're treating it differently. They're saying if you got a group of people going into the woods and you can't shoot for another person to fill their tags, that's what they're calling party hunting.
Are you sure? Are they
Yes,
saying
I read
all
that.
of them going after one deer?
No. Yes, that's a no. It's a.
See, because you guys would be way in different places and would sometimes consequentially drive deer just by through
just
your movements.
moving them, yeah. Now they used to have a rule that you couldn't have more than 7 people in a hunting party,
Okay.
but I don't see that
Again,
rule in here anywhere.
questions, call that 812
Many things
number.
have changed. They have changed the rules about red dot sites. They are legal now for hunting. That's the site that the red dot actually spots right on the deer.
Oh.
So that has changed.
You're not allowed to do that?
No, you can do
Oh, you
that.
can do
couldn't
that.
do that
Okay.
for years. So you're
That's
not.
something I never want to see on my body is a red dot,
This hunter orange requirement.
Let's see. Hunter orange requirement. To meet fluorescent orange or hunter orange clothing requirements, hunters must wear one or more of the following items that is solid fluorescent orange in color and exposed at all times as an outer garment, either a vest, coat, jacket, coveralls, hat, or cap. Minimal logos or patches are not allowed. Camouflage.
No, it says they are allowed, doesn't it?
Oh, I'm sorry. Minimal logos or patches are allowed.
Now that's a change
On
in
the
policy
on the hat.
from when I was very
used to
active
have
in this.
nothing on
yeah,
it.
and I would have a fit about
Had to
that
be
because
solid.
it just didn't make any sense.
Now, these camouflage patterned fluorescent orange garments do not satisfy the
you
requirement.
can't do that. No.
Now, fluorescent orange must be worn when hunting deer, rabbit, pheasant, quail, turkey. And this says turkey when fall season overlaps, say deer firearm season. See page 41 for details.
Yeah,
Again,
there's
questions.
a lot of
Woodcock and squirrel. So you've got to wear your hunter orange, but it can be
also-
just a hat, right?
Right. And you also have to put your hunter orange on your ground blind. You have to put 144 square inches divided by 11 times 7.
What?
That's the rules right here.
What, are you going to be a mathematician to
Yeah.
figure this out?
No, it's 144 square inches you have to put on each side of your ground blind. Now, if you've got a ground blind that only has 2 sides, how many pieces do you put on?
2.
I'm
Okay, but
just so
why do
proud
they
of
make
her.
it difficult? 144
Well, let
square
me show you
inches
what
is 12 inches
144
by 12 inches, which is a square foot.
Well, yeah,
Why
let
can't
me
you
show
just
you what
say
it
a
is.
square foot?
I found an old picture of myself, and that's what 144. What are you laughing about? That's 100. Oh, wait a minute, I got my hand wrong there. That's 144 square
That's
inches.
the size
That's
of an
the size,
orange
right there.
sure you have to have on each side of your blind.
Yeah,
Is
that's
that what
it
you're
right there.
saying?
That's
Okay.
that's an early picture of me. I had a lot of hair
Oh
then.
my God.
So, but anyway, not all seasons though. In the early turkey season, in the spring, you can be fully camouflaged.
Well, that's what it said. You got to check this other page for the different details.
And also, there's a fall turkey season. Now, in the fall turkey season, you're allowed to take either a tom or a hen, which I have never. My brother was going to take me turkey hunting, and I never got around to that.
far.
And my son was going to take me turkey hunting. He never has.
Now, I would like to, we've gotten this far in the book, I would like to take a break and have some fun at this, and I have a little bit of a game I want you to play with me.
I always lose
I
in the
love
games.
to play my games.
I don't
We are
win
going to
the
play
games.
Never Have I Ever. Okay, and now I'm going to say something.
I get no advance notice
Never
of this.
have I ever, and you are going to either say I have or I have never. Oh, they're green. Look how they almost disappeared.
She made him green.
Just don't hold it up here. Look. Okay.
right.
So, number 1. Never have I ever fallen asleep in the woods while hunting.
Oh, always. I do that on purpose.
Do you?
Oh, of course. I love to go in the woods and fall asleep.
Okay. Never have I ever shot at a goose 3 times and missed all 3 times.
Hey.
I never have. He has.
Actually, I shot at geese for 5 days straight, and they were just at the top of the trees flying over my house. But I had got very poor advice when I first
heard
started
this.
goose hunting.
Boom, 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 click, curse.
And she heard it over, and as a
He
matter
was
of fact,
terrible when he
she
first
has a video
started.
of it.
He was awful.
She has a video.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. Never have I ever had to go to the bathroom in the woods, had no toilet paper, and had to wipe with one of my gloves.
That's not nice. Yeah, you have too.
That's right, I have. And never have
And a
I...
shirt, and
I always wondered why he always never had any left-handed gloves. Where all your gloves go? Never have I ever gone into the woods with my grandchildren who ran over and said, "Look, Grandpa, that's one of your gloves." And I screamed, "No!
Ah, jeez.
Don't touch it." Never have I ever lost my
This is not a good game.
It is.
Oh.
Never have I ever lost my partial teeth in the woods. You have. I fell out of his pocket. He lost his partial.
This is fun.
Isn't this fun? I
Yeah.
love playing these games. Okay. Never have I ever shot a buck with my pants around my ankles because I was going to the bathroom. I never have.
And it was a perfect shot through the woods, through the brush.
It was a beautiful buck.
Heart shot. So there.
Never have I ever seen a picture of myself dressed for the woods and thought it was a picture of my brother-in-law Bing. I have.
Yeah.
That was traumatizing. I saw a picture
It's about
of myself.
time something was traumatizing.
I had on my coat and everything, and I thought I was just all good to go. And I was like, where did we take that picture of Bing at? And I looked closer. It was me.
And
oh
Bing
my God.
is
He's
my
a round,
brother-in-law.
kinda
He's
old.
80.
It looked like Bing. It really did. Okay, never have I ever stretched a DNR rule or regulation while deer hunting.
Yes, I have, and I did it because I was right. The
That-
rules that are on the books, you need to change them before you stretch them, okay? Because you either are on the right side of the law or you're on the wrong side of the
Right.
law. But then there was a rule that said you had to unstring your bow before you brought it out of the woods. And we had compound bows that you can't unstring. That's ridiculous. So
And
we
you got in
were
trouble for that, huh?
We got in trouble for it, and I tried to explain it to this
Doesn't matter. He doesn't hunt. so.
non-bow shooting, non-archery.
And no matter what, you're wrong. Because it's in the book, right?
Full of
yeah, okay.
something in vinegar.
You're a Christian, remember? Okay, never have I ever gone deer hunting when it wasn't deer season.
Oh boy, how's come you? Yes, I actually. What I did was I was so excited. I had waited all year for this, and I get all dressed up, and I get in the car, and I go, and it's the day before deer season.
Now, how did you find this out?
Because nobody else showed up.
Yeah, but somebody said something to you.
Yeah.
Like, you're not going today, or you're going tomorrow, right?
No, there was
Or
a guy there that was just, he was going scouting, and he says, are you going to squirrel hunt with that thing? And it was a muzzleloader. And I'm going, whoa. And then it dawned on me, there's nobody else in the parking lot, and
He
there's
was a
usually
day
50
early.
people. I was a day
I've only got
early.
a couple more here for you, honey. Never have I ever put a tree stand in a dead tree.
I have not, but I have been with two people that
We'll
actually
turn never.
put. I have never, but I have been with two people that have actually put tree stands in dead trees, and I would come by after daylight and go, "What are you doing?" And one of them, the tree broke,
Wow,
and he was
dangerous.
hanging like this, and he figured he could still hunt.
Okay, never have I ever got on stand in a tree that is an owl roosting tree.
Oh boy!
I have never.
Let me tell you what, owls can deposit large quantities when they roost.
Uh-oh.
And I was in a roosting, and when they came in to roost, there was two of them. I realized, oh my God, all the way around me is nothing but white, and it's a green
And
tree.
it's poop. Never have I ever been chased by a snake while hunting or fishing. I have.
She has, and I tried to run away from a
have.
giant black racer, and I ran as hard as I could, and I'm a fast runner, and I stopped and turned around, and he was just looking at me.
Yeah.
And he didn't even have to work up a sweat.
Yep.
Whew.
Well, we were fishing in the boat one time, and I said, "Look, honey, there's a snake going across the water." I thought I'd be a real smart
I
aleck.
said, that's a water moccasin.
And so I slapped my rod on the water. It turned, looked at me, and came right toward the boat.
Not a good idea. Don't tick off a water moccasin.
Well, that's
Are
the
you
last
done?
Never Have I Ever. But it reminded me of one story you told me a while back about a guy who came down to hunt, and all night long they ate chili and drank
My
beer.
chili.
Okay.
My
and
chili.
the next day, up at his tree stand, he had a horrible stomach issue, and he couldn't go up and down the tree stand.
He was a guy that went about 30 foot in the air.
So he did his business over the side of the tree stand several times.
Several times.
And it hit the tree.
Yes, it did.
The problem is you at some point have to come down this tree.
You have to hug the tree to self-climb down the tree.
Nasty.
Well, he decided he was going to jump, and we said, no, he can't jump. He didn't come back to the bus. And so we finally had to go looking for him, and when you shine the light, there was nothing but white paper and other stuff up and down
Well,
the
I
whole
hope
tree.
you all enjoyed this edition of Never Have I Ever.
Oh, my goodness. I'm sure they enjoyed it.
Now, I do have a couple events that I want to get to. I don't want to get short on time.
Yeah, go ahead.
Okay, they are going to be doing some paving here in Connorsville starting of Monday of next week. They're going from Highland and 30th all the way down to 15th, 16th, Virginia, Indiana, Meyer. Every single day they're going to be doing different paving, which is great, but it can be inconvenient if you're on your way somewhere or that's your street. If you have any questions about that or want to see the schedule, you can go to the TV3 Facebook page, or you can go to the Connorsville Utilities Facebook page and find out the information that way. But yay, they're going to be doing some paving. Also, the Gleaners food truck that we enjoy helping with, they come and they distribute food, and they come to the Cross Point Biker Church. Normally, it is the first Wednesday in October. This month, it is not. It did not happen yesterday. It is the second Wednesday of the month. So Wednesday, October 9th, distribution from 3 to 5 at Cross Point Biker Church. There's some cool cool fall festivals going on this time of year. Alquina, Blue Arrow Park. I'm not really sure I know where that is. I know where Alquina is. They're having a fall festival this Saturday,
In Alquina,
the 5th.
that
I
has
know.
to be where the high school came
I
out,
guess
right?
so.
Yeah, okay.
But they've got, it's 9 to 4. They've got crafts, pumpkin patch, car tractor pull, antique tractor show. It's where the elementary school
elementary,
used to
that's
be.
what I meant.
That's what my secret
There was only
man told me in
one
my
building,
ear.
yeah.
Pony rides, DJ, and that's free admission. Also, downtown Connorsville, October 11th and 12th is the Apple Dumpling Days. They're going to have a Halloween fall parade. If you want to put a float in a parade, they do a parade route. The singing, the Idol finals for the Fayette County Idol, lots of kids' activities. Now, here's one I'm looking forward to is the Chili Cook-Off, the Altrusa Chili Cook-Off. Saturday, October 12th at the Cross Point Biker Church, 9 a.m. to 2 p.m. They're going to
I'm going deer hunting the next day. I can't
well,
do it.
that's all right. There's going to have crafts, a silent auction. Everything there is free as well. Now, if you're into this, Everton puts on a good one, I hear. Everton Fire Haunted House. Every Friday and Saturday in October from 7 to 11 p.m. They say they have 10 new rooms they've added this year for a total of 14 haunted rooms out in Everton. That's $7 a person. And one last thing, out at the Robinson's Whitewater River Campground down 121, they're having their annual sorghum festival. Now, they show you demonstrations on how to make sorghum. That's Sunday, October 6th, 9 to 5. They're going to have a car show there, cider making demonstrations, lots of food to eat and everything else. And that's always it. Tell me again what sorghum is. It's a syrup made out of corn.
Yeah, it's like molasses, but it's sorghum.
Out of corn?
It's made out of sorghum. Sorghum is a grain.
I didn't know that. I
It's a
thought
grain.
it was corn.
Yeah, you can make beer out of sorghum,
Well, there you
too.
have it. But they do that every year, and that's coming up. And that's the end of my little events calendar.
Wow,
There's
you
a
did.
lot more going on,
did,
really,
well,
but
yeah.
I kind of pick out the stuff I like. I can't. It's our show. I can pick
That's
the
right.
stuff I like.
You can pick whatever you
Okay.
want.
Now let's get back to what you're doing.
All right. Now, there's a couple of things that I disagree with. It says muzzleloader handguns are allowed in the muzzleloader season. Muzzleloader handguns must be a single shot, 50 caliber
Handgun?
or larger. A 50 caliber rifle is a butt-kicking thing, and you're going to shoot a 50 caliber or larger muzzleloader handgun at a deer? Anyway,
Wow. I didn't even know there was such a thing.
well, yeah, there's all kinds of. Eddie used to carry that ball and cap. That was a finishing product. Also, the other end of the spectrum is I'm not in agreement with using a 410, which is now legal, a 410 shotgun. Okay, you've got 12 gauge, 10 gauge, 20 gauge.
Right.
All right. And then 16 gauge, which is coming back into popularity. Sweet 16 gauge is a fabulous shotgun. It really is tremendous. But 410 is the way bottom end of the spectrum. And I'm
Does
just
it just
really
go
not.
bloop?
No, it's got an impact, but you have to limit your range to 30 yards, I would think. About the same as archery.
Well, anybody who uses that would be fully aware of that,
Well,
right?
it's probably made for the younger people, but a 20 gauge doesn't kick,
No, I have one.
And a short stock 20 gauge or 16 gauge is a beautiful weapon for a kid, and I just don't know about a 410. I just hate to see deer wounded,
Right,
I
yeah.
also hate to see any new hunter come into this field
Not
and wound a deer,
prepared, right, yeah.
Because the worst thing that can happen is they don't practice and practice and practice, and the first deer that they shoot, it goes down quick and hard. That's so vital for
you
that.
can ruin
that hunter.
a new hunter watching a deer suffer.
You can, or hearing them suffer.
They cry. I hit one with my car, and it cried. It cried. It cried.
It's really
terrible
it's something
thing.
that you need to try. Desperate. I know we all want to get our kids and our grandkids out there early, but make sure that they can hit and hit well, and that they know the range, or that you're
Well, you've
you're
always told me you should
restricting the
know
range.
your weapon. You should be prolific with your weapon. You should know what it can do, how it kicks, how it shoots, how it handles. You should know your weapon.
Yeah, you have to know the muzzle loader. You have to know the bow, whatever it is you're hunting with. You have to know those things. Also, you need to be very safe in these tree stands. I used to climb trees, literally. Now I'm not kidding. Climb all the way to the very, very top of trees. But that's what I did for a living. And I'd wrap my leg around the tree, get wedged in a fork, and go to sleep.
Oh,
Take a
my.
nap up in the top of the tree.
And they say accidents in this book. They have an incident of accidents. From
Yeah, that
hunting
was,
accidents.
I was
they
looking
are
for that.
actually down. A lot of them, 60% of those accidents still are provided by falls. But the number of incidents of people falling out of their tree stands and all other type of hunting accidents have gone way down in the last couple of years. So
Which is
that's a positive thing.
It's
That is.
and I think a lot of the new hunters are definitely using their harnesses. It's left being a macho thing anymore. To oh, I don't need that. And I wish people would do the same thing with their ear protectors. If you're mowing your lawn, if you're using a drill, if you're using a skill
Always
saw,
big about
put ear protectors and eye protectors on. It's not worth what is going to happen to you.
These factory workers, or you would come into the MVets when I worked there. They're all deaf, with that machinery going all day and the booms and what have you. Now this lead fragmentation thing.
Yeah, that
I
was
thought
your big thing.
interesting.
Where was that at?
I think it was this way, a couple of pages. But lead, you can actually get. It's a bigger problem for children, obviously, than for grown-ups, unless you eat an awful lot of meat that is contaminated with lead or have exposure. But it says here that the high-velocity rifles that use lead ammunition can fragment into tiny pieces and spread throughout the meat.
I never considered that. I never thought about that ever.
Whereas a shotgun and muzzle-loading ammunition produce far fewer lead fragments and travel shorter distances from the entry wound.
Yeah.
And lead fragments cannot be completely removed during processing. It's almost impossible.
Yeah.
And ground venison, when you grind it up and mix it all in together, further contaminates the meat. It gives you more possible lead contamination than, say, whole muscle cuts.
Now that's on a high velocity shot that is using lead. We're not trying to scare you and tell you that all deer's got lead in it.
No.
We're not trying to tell you that every deer that you shoot with a lead bullet has got lead in it.
No, but it
because
can happen.
It can happen, especially with the high velocity.
And there is no known safe level of lead to be in your body whatsoever. And, in cooking it, actually will spread it throughout the meat. And even if you pick it out when you eat it, when you cook it with lead, it gets in there. Now,
and we used to joke about picking the pellets
out of
the lead
you see them
pellets,
dropping them in the plant.
Spitting the lead
you
pellets
can
out.
use a non-lead alternative such as copper or copper alloy.
Full jacketed.
Make sure and clean the wound generously when you clean it, and be careful of the way you dispose of the carcass that could have lead fragments, so the scavenging animals don't also get the lead.
And that's another issue that I never considered. Matter of fact, we used to literally take our carcasses up to a place called the Boneyard in New Hampshire, and we would deposit them up there for the coyotes and the bears and whatever else to eat. And I'm sure some of them had chunks of lead in them. I mean, we didn't go to the extent of removing the lead ball before we did that.
Well,
now,
it accumulates and builds up in animals who have eaten it.
You know what becomes a big problem here in Indiana is the disposition of carcasses, okay?
Yes.
The problem is that there's no place to do that.
Yeah.
Okay? And they really need to set up some
burn dumpsters or something?
well, some
I don't
dumpsters
know.
that you can put them in. But what they're suggesting you do is double bag the carcass and just put it out when they come to collect the trash. They don't like you to just dump the carcasses out in the woods.
Okay.
So, that's...
We find a lot of cool bones that way, though.
Yeah, we do. We find a lot of good bones.
One thing I did want to say before we wrap up tonight is...
Oh, my goodness. I got
this
50
week,
things I want to cover here.
I know. There's been a baby, my friend's grandbaby, Ellie K. Nichols, who I'm sure many of you have heard about on Facebook, she put up a good fight. She was 4 months old, and she passed away this week. And it was a terrible, sad event, and I just want to say my heart goes out to you, Haley and Brandon, and to Amanda, my friend, the baby's grandma, and to all the family members, Nelson Sizemore, and so many people, and the Nichols, that such a wonderful, wonderful family, and a horrible thing to have to go through, and it's just a bad thing. But this baby, through Facebook and social media, has brought so many people together, thousands of people that they don't even know who are, have been caught up in this story and have lent their support and sent their love. So love you guys.
I want to mention a link. If you are a duck hunter, a goose hunter, or if you want to be, if you're interested in duck or goose hunting, one of the hardest things to do is to identify ducks at a distance.
Oh, yes.
And there is an actual app for your phone or that you can look at on your computer that is called Ducks at a Distance. And it shows you how they look when they're flying, how they look at a distance, up in the sky.
And the males and females look different.
The difference between the male and female, because sometimes you do have to tell the difference in order to fill your
the
quota
shape of
properly.
The beak, the color of the beak, little things you don't know to look
Tells
for.
you all kinds of stuff that you really need to be aware of. And so Ducks at a Distance, it's a good one. And then the other one is from Ducks Unlimited. They have some pretty good stuff, but it's not as good as this one. I really like
It's called the Ducks at a Distance Identification Guide, and it's in color. It's an amazing,
fantastic, and it's been around for a long, long time, and it's great. I even use it when I'm out scouting, just so I can check.
Yeah, it's a PDF that you can put on your phone, I think, even and scroll down through it.
Yeah, so. Hunter education is important, but there was a couple of things here I wanted. Youth. There's a youth deer season, a youth turkey season, a youth waterfowl season. There's free hunting days for youth. There is apprentice for youth. There's all kinds of programs.
There are free fishing days.
Free fishing days to get the youth into this hunting and fishing, into enjoying the outdoors, turning off their cell phones, perhaps. Getting away from some of that.
Pick up one of each of these books. There's a fishing guide, a hunting guide, available again at Gilman's, Walmart, any sporting goods, or the gun owner shops probably have them as well.
We're skipping around a whole bunch here because I really wanted to try to own, and I'm not kidding about this deer reduction zone. 10 deer. You're allowed 10 deer, and they're everywhere. There's 5 of them up north. You could go up there and have a goose hunt. Go fishing out on Lake Michigan, come back and get you 10 deer. Well,
yeehaw.
Holy moly, you better have a big rig because you got to do some hauling. Now, here's a word that drives me crazy, and they put it in this book all the time. In aggregate.
In aggregate.
All right, read what that says it means.
Examples of aggregate bag limit in a sentence. Aggregate bag limit means a condition of taking in which 2 or more usually similar species may be bagged by the member in predetermined or unpredetermined quantities to satisfy the maximum take limit.
Now, did you understand that? Because that didn't make any more sense than saying aggregate.
I think it means all together, but
say total. Just say total.
Yeah, in total.
And there was a couple other words here that I wanted to define. Listen, we have had a lot of fun bringing you this show,
always.
and we would like to bring you a couple more of these hunting and fishing shows. If you're interested in seeing more about hunting and fishing, along with the Garden Doctor Show, just either write to us or give us
call the studio. Tell them what you want.
Call the studio and let them know what you want.
They want to give you what you want to see.
We want to produce for you. So give us a holler, and we will be happy to go through it. Get one of these guides, read it from cover to cover, make the comments that need to be made. If they did a a typo error, you need to put down, hey, I found a typo error, you
Point it out, you
dingbat.
screwed up.
Point it out. Put a circle around it and send it off to DNR. And what you're doing is helping them in the future to improve and to
Yes.
polish. And if you have a question, if a 12-year-old can't read it and understand it, then it needs to come out of there. It shouldn't be in there.
Make
And
it
should
clear.
It should be made
People
much,
will be
much
less
clearer.
likely to break the rules if they can understand them.
Exactly. And the rules should not be complicated whatsoever. We really have enjoyed bringing you this program, and we're sorry to outforce, but listen, people, if you go to Muncie, there's a place up there where you can get 20 or 10, what did I say, 10? 10 deer and get an extra buck. There's a place, they're all over the place. Just look up get this book and look them up. Thank you very much. We really enjoy you. We love you all. See
Bye,
you next
Dad.
time.
The Garden Doctor.